Hello everyone, welcome to the purple classes of the Res Indica IAS Academy. Desh Badala, Padhai Badalo. Yet again, we have come up with some of the important topic that is called inclusive growth and issue arising out of it. Okay, so we'll be doing this. So this is a very important topic in the GS paper 3 of economy. Okay, so this is a separate topic that has been given. I have given the number as topic number two. So let's start with that. What is the topic number two? So you can see over here, topic number two is written over here. Inclusive growth and issue arising from it. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, this is the topic. Issue of growth, inclusive growth and issues arriving of it. So this is topic number topic number two that we wanted to discuss, and next topic that we are going to discuss is going to be on that is government budgeting, right? So let's start with our class. So inclusive growth and issue arising out of it. First of all, what is the meaning of inclusive growth? Whenever we say inclusive growth, so there has to be some definition regarding inclusive growth. Like somebody has to give definition, but every country have their own way of defining the inclusive growth. So we need always some standard definition. We always need some standard definition, right? So OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has given a definition that is called inclusive growth is an economic growth that creates opportunity for all segment of the population and distributes the dividend to increase prosperity both in monetary term and non-monetary term in a fairly process way. All segment. So inclusive growth itself say we are talking about all people of the country, whether they are rich, highly rich, poor, ultra poor, like that. And distribution of resources and distributions of profits and distribution of any dividend that country is earning, it has to be fairly distributed, fairly. Everybody should get the fruits, what we call it as over here. Everybody should get the fruits of development. Okay, everybody should get the fruits of development, how whatever the hierarchy of the people are having. That is the OECD definition of inclusive growth. Now, UNDP perspective on inclusive growth is based on an outcome and process. That means what is the outcome and what is the process. That means it implies that everyone should be able to participate in the growth process and benefit should be shared equally. Okay, so outcome means whatever you are getting a result and what process you are following. And participation, everyone participation, that means we create situations in such a way that all people can participate. All people can participate in this whole growth process. Everybody is able to fulfill, or everybody should be able to provide their input to the fullest, right? Everybody knows regarding the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, right? How many goals are there? There are 17 goals are there. In these 17 goals, 169 targets are there, right? Though there are a lot of goals in which we are talking about inclusivity, but they are not specifically given. But if you go by the context and text of that goal, you will be finding that all these goals are some way or the other way are specifically targeting to inclusive growth, right? Now we are moving towards the type of goals, like what goals that we can identify, which especially focuses on the inclusive growth, right? So goal number one, everybody know that United Nations Sustainable Development Goal says that we need to remove poverty by 20, removal of poverty by 2030, and absolute poverty. We have to remove absolute poverty to zero, right? Then goal number two is goal number two is ending hunger by 2030 as per global hunger index. Okay, we have to remove hunger by 2030. Then goal number three is reducing maternal mortality rate, infant mortality. So we call it as MMR. We call it as IMR, right? Maternal mortality rate is checked based on per lakh of month, per lakh unit, and infant mortality rate we check per thousand male child, per thousand child being born, right? So we have to reduce MMR, we have to reduce IMR. Goal number four is complete free and equitable quantity of primary and secondary education that we have to provide. You know, for that government is running a lot of special task, special schemes, and for India we are running Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, that is on the topmost. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, that is the biggest educational program. Along with that, we are also providing midday meals to the people, to the child. Goal number eight is sustained per capita income growth. Per capita income we have to increase, reduction of youth unemployment. And goal number nine is developing quality, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure. Infrastructure, reliable and quality means whether it is road infrastructure, whether it is educational infrastructure, whether it is your power infrastructure, whether it is your health infrastructure. Okay, so we have to provide a specific amount of GDP percentage, like in our healthcare in India, we are expecting at least 2.5% of the GDP has to be spent on the healthcare, especially. So if you see over here, all these goals, all these goals are catering to the inclusive growth, because they are just above poor, rich, or everything. Because rich people don't have to follow all these rules, right? They are already being part of this, they are already getting all these things. It is related to the middle class people, it is related to the poor people, it is related to the very lower poor section of the society. That is why these goals are there, that we have to do and we have to solve this issue. That is why 17 goals are there, and specifically six goals are there which are specifically targeting, and we can call them as these are the target which will help in achieving the inclusive growth. So whenever you write any exam, you have to give these points, right? You have to provide these points. So whenever any exams are coming, or any exam where you are going to write descriptive answer, whenever you wanted to write any descriptive answer, you get a question on inclusive growth. So you will not get what is inclusive growth, how we measure it, or like that. No, the question will be totally rounded off. They will do something like that. Despite being doing lot of effort in the country, still we are not able to succeed in the inclusivity, and the people are still lagging behind, and the rich are getting richer and poor are getting poorer. So these type of analysis type of question, the type of critical type of questions are being asked. You will not get any direct questions, but all these points will be able to help you in framing your answer. All these points will be helping you in framing your answers. You never think that directly you will get the question like what is inclusive growth, what are the way of measuring inclusive growth. No, this will not happen to you. This will not happen in the UPSC, at least. Okay, they will always give analysis type question, they will always give analysis analysis type questions, where these type of data will be helping you, and will be helping and will be supplementing your answer. Okay, that will be supplementing your answer. Okay, so this point are to be very important for you. Then since I was telling you regarding all these things, okay, yeah. So these are the sustainable development goals. So total 17 goals are there from 1 to 17, right? No poverty, zero hunger, goal number 2, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, okay, industrial innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible communication and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institution, participation for the goal. So, no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well being. Then, after that, we have our qualification. 1 minute. Yeah. Good. We have quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable clean energy, decent working economic condition, reduce inequality. These are all being part of inclusive development, inclusive development and inclusive growth, and inclusive growth are that, right? Now, what are the dimensions of inclusive growth? What are the dimension? If we go by the concept, there are we can put all these points, like we can put all these points, if we go by that, if we put all these points under the social category, then economic category, then we have political category, then we have environmental category, and we have stakeholders. Stakeholders. So, what we are putting under the social category? Social category means, like, how we are going to find it out is that under the social category, we are finding out that affordable education, like under the social category, if we try to put, it should be education, it has to be healthcare, right? It has to be healthcare. Equitable treatment, equitable treatment everywhere, right? And regional parity, regional parity, that means region wise everything should be equal, every region should get developed, every region, every places over here in our country should get the benefit of everything, right? So rapid growth and poverty reduction is one of the dimension that we can find out that inclusive growth is happening. If we are able to provide people with essential service like proper education, proper healthcare, equitable treatment and everything, then we can call that as people are having a proper inclusive growth that is happening, right? Essential service like your education, healthcare, whatever the thing which are needed by the person in day to day life, right? Whether your employment opportunities are increasing and whether they are increasing for everybody or not, whether they are increasing for everybody or not, that is also one thing has to be find it out, right? And if it is only for certain category of people, then we can call that as the employ that inclusive growth is not happening. But if it is happening for all the sector and everybody is engaged in that work, then we can call it as yes, the inclusive growth is happening and everybody is being part of it, okay? Then social justice and empowerment, people, whether people are getting social justice properly or not, okay, that is also one of the inclusive indicator, whether they are properly moving one place to other, whether they are being allowed to move one place to the other, okay? So they are allowed to move, but whether they can easily move, what is their social mobility, social mobility, what is their social mobility, right? What is their social mobility, and whether they are getting proper opportunities, whether they are empowered or not, or whether they are not feeling dejected or like that, okay? This is the way we can find it out. Then environmental sustainability, that means you have a clear cut policy for environment, whether your growth, whether your growth is environmentally sustainable or not, whether you are taking environment along with the development or not, because if you are not taking environmental along with your development, then you cannot be calling as that inclusive growth. And whether you are recognizing the woman, recognition of the woman, that means whatever the needs of women are, whatever the needs of the women are, what are the demands of the women are, whether they are being fulfilled properly or not, whether they are being properly, whether we are able to provide gender justice or not, gender justice or not, whether we are able to provide gender justice or not. And then at the last, we are talking about the good governance. Good governance means that all the institutions, government institution, private institution, whether they are effectively working or not, whether these institutions are gender, they are following gender parity policies or not, whether they are showing equitable treatment or not, whether they are empowering the people or not, whether they are empowering the people or not. Like if we go by like COVID portal, COVID portal we have created, we have Janadhan, Aadhaar and mobile, correct, direct benefit transfer, Janadhan account, Pehel scheme, free LPG. So governance, what is the governance? Whether everybody is included and whether everybody is able to understand exactly what the government is doing. Whether the government is able to take care of every and each and every one in the country or not, till the last mile connectivity, till the last mile connectivity. So these are the dimension under which we measure that. Okay. Now, what is the need of inclusive growth? So, there are three main important problems that are there in our country. Three important problems that are there. First one is poverty. Poverty is a scenario where people are not able to meet their basic needs. Then inequality means where the people are not being treated equally or they are being discriminated on certain grounds. Then unemployment, that even our youths are getting educated, they are getting the skills and everything, still they remain unemployed. So these are the three important things which need to be taken care of under the inclusive growth. So we need inclusive growth because we are still having huge poverty, going slowly down, we have huge inequality, we have good amount of unemployment in our country. Okay. So, if the economic growth has not resulted in inclusive growth, then we cannot call it as growth, right? We have two committees are there. We have two committees. One is Tendulkar committee, and one is Rangarajan committee. Rangarajan committee. So they have both have given their poverty data. They both have given their poverty data. And as per Tendulkar committee, they said that around 138 million people are lifted above the poverty line in 2004 and 9. Okay. And Rangarajan committee has shown that there is, yeah, faster reduction in the poverty. So these people were out of poverty during that time. Okay. Then comes poverty hurts everywhere. Poverty hurts socially, poverty hurts culturally, poverty hurts politically, and everything. So, whether our programs, whether our poverty alleviation programs are working properly or not, we have to find out like how we can evaluate the effectiveness of a poverty alleviation program. It is by finding out how much poverty is there. Look, we have a lot of poverty alleviation program in our country, right? We Jan Aadhaar, mobile, then we have Mudra Yojana, we have Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, we have Manrega is there. So these are all poverty alleviation programs. So we wanted to find what is the effectiveness of the program. Is we will be finding out what is the reduction in poverty or there is an increase in the poverty, that we have to find it out. Okay. Then what Niti Aayog has said one time is Niti Aayog has said that instead of finding out who the poor is, we will be just directly looking at below 30%, below 30% strata of population. These below 30%, we will be finding out what is the status of these 30% today, then after 1 year or after 2 years. So below 30%, we will be looking forward for it. So this is what, like they said, that we have to be very, very specific, because below 31 is the most poorest people of the country. So if the chance of them is getting increased, and then they are moving above poverty, and they are just moving into some other classes, so we can call that as, yes, we have removed the poverty from our country. Then comes the inequality. Then comes the concept of inequality. Inequality, we find out in terms of income first. As we know that 10% of our Indian population is only holding 74.3% of whole Indian wealth. 74.3% of Indian wealth is only held by 10% people of the country, and the richest 1% is holding 42.3%, that is close to 50%. That means the richest 1% of our country are holding 42.3% of the Indians wealth. So if we go, there is a coefficient, if you have heard of Gini coefficient. Gini coefficient, it tells about the income inequality. Okay, it shows about the income inequality. And if you go by that, so you should know that this Gini coefficient is used to find out the inequality in income. Okay, so this is related to income inequality. Then we have a social inequality. Okay, then we have a social inequality. In social inequality, we find it out regarding the gender, we find it out about the caste system, we find about the race system. Okay, still they are highly deep rooted in our country. Deep rooted still they are, if you go to the village side, countryside area. And that is why they have a huge impact, deep impact in the inclusive growth of our country, because they are being deprived of the livelihood, they are being deprived of education, they are being deprived of various other healthcare facilities, right? Now, if I wanted to provide you one example, care work, people used to do care for their home, care for the elders and everything. So there are poor women are there. uh, I don't know the exact figure, but it is close to dollar, no, not dollar, rupees 18 trillion. Rupees 18 trillion. It is rupees 18 trillion of unpaid care work that people do without getting paid for it. This shows the unequal treatment regarding various type of work. Correct? Now, slowly, there is a new type of inequality that is generating. New inequality. Okay? New inequality means, the people, some people are much more advanced, tech savvy. They're tech savvy. And some people don't even know how to operate mobile, right? So this is growing at a huge pace. So there will be a gap that will be coming. Some people who are having advanced knowledge, some people are not even having the basic knowledge. So this gap is increasing. That is why inclusive growth is needed. Okay. So what happens when you have inequalities? What happens when you have inequality, right? So because of the inequality, you have a low social mobilization. You have a very low social mobilization and slow pace of poverty reduction. Slow pace of poverty reduction that will happening, because and it is more in the developing countries, and because of that it hinders and it does not create a good environment to work, right? They so at high income inequality, if we have a high income inequality, if we have a high income inequality in our country, hinders the diffusion it hinders the diffusion of the new environmentally friendly technology, because I may be able to adapt to any technology, but what about the person who is sitting on the village side? If I know chat gpt if I know chat gpt, what about the person who is sitting on a countryside or a village area, who have a very basic mobile to work on, right? And inequality also influence the balance of power regarding those who are having and those who are not having, right? So there is inequality not in the country, between the countries also. We are talking about not only our country, between the countries also. So income inequality, social inequality, wealth inequality, these are a highly uh, disadvantageous terms as we go through it, and they are not help and they are not uh, hindering the growth of India by unnecessary hindering in the affairs. So inequality has to be removed in whatever the way possible from the all forms of the society. Then comes unemployment. So unemployment data, the data that we have studied in the growth and development, said that unemployment is decreasing. That means people are getting employment. More and more people are getting employment. But the real problem is of the jobless growth. Jobless growth. And the real problem is of the underemployment. Underemployment. That means people are working, but they are not working to their full potential. Full potential, they are not working. They're not working up to full potential as per the data of NSSO, right? CPRI and everything, right? So this is the three main important problem and that need to be catered in the coming years. And the way and the faster we remove all these things, we will be having we will be achieving the developed status before 2047, if we are able to remove all these inequalities. We have inequalities, poverty and unemployment from the life of the Indians. Now, because of all these things, we are not able to properly utilize our human capital. Human capital, we cannot utilize it properly. And proper upgradation of the skills is not taking the pace. The pace through which the economic upgradation, the pace through which the skill development has to take, it is not taking. That is why people are having skill mismatch. They are having skill mismatch. And because of that, they are getting unemployed. And because of the unemployment, poverty, and inequality, it creates civil unrest. It creates violence. It creates violence. If you see many countries, many Arab countries, Even if you look to Pakistan also, 1 minute, if you look to Arab countries, if you look to Pakistan, if you look to our neighbor Sri Lanka, all countries except few countries in Arab world and Africa, except few countries and Arab countries, Saudi Arabia and Dubai and various other country you leave, in all these places they are dealing with poverty, inequality and unemployment. These are the three major things they are fighting. Because of this only the social unrest is happening so high. They have a huge poverty, very high poverty. There are very high inequality. They have very high unemployment rate. So people are simply fighting on the roads, and because of that, civil unrest and violence are taking place. So these that is why we need inclusive growth, and we need to tackle these problem in order to attain the proper growth in the country. Now then, what are the challenges? Like, okay, we got a problem, but we can solve it. But there are certain challenges that are there that first of all need to be tackled. First of all, we have a very slow economic growth progress. We know by 2028 and 2020, 2008 and 2009, we have a huge financial crisis that has happened. Recession has happened. Global economy totally collapsed. Still, the recovery process is going on. Occasionally, ups and downs keeps on happening. A job deficit is there. Not in India, especially in the European countries right now because of the Russia-Ukraine war. Then because of Israel Palestine war that is going on. Sorry, Israel and Hamas. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Israel and Hamas war that is happening, because of that it is creating social unrest. Anywhere war that is happening in the world, it has a repercussion to the world economy, because economies go slow down just because they are not being because since our world is integrated, our world is globalized, integrated, and our world is globalized. So anything happening at any corner of the world has an effect on our own country. Wealth concentration in particular hand, you all know that around 1% people are holding 42.3% wealth. Changing labor dynamics. Why? Because of the disruptive technologies. Because of what? Disruptive technology that are there, like chat GPT, AI, machine learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big datas, data science, augmented reality, virtual reality, etc., etc. All these things are the disruptive technologies which are changing the labor market dynamics at a very, very faster pace. Every day, the loss of jobs are getting lost. Okay, jobs are getting lost, and there is a report by our former governor. There is a report by our former governor, Dr. Raghuram G. Rajan, that he said that there is a need to move from a routine and less productive work life to more and more tech enabled people we wanted to create. Okay, so there is a need to move from the routine productive work, like unproductive work, less productive work like agriculture and low productive industries. We have to move away from low productive work, and we have to catch on the opportunities. We have to catch on the opportunities in various other fields, like in exports, services, tech startup, and various other things. Automation is one more thing, because lot of jobs are getting lost because of that. Lot of corruption issues are being there. Okay, first of all, we will talk about the automation, that since earlier the people who are working at some certain factory, now robots have taken their work, automation has taken their work. Okay, so skills are getting obsolete very faster. Maybe you are finding for 2 months you are doing work, and suddenly you are being thrown out of your job because of certain automation that has been done to your job, right? So there is an estimate that because of the automation, around 700 to 800 million people, around 700 to 800 million people will be displaced because of this automation only. Then corruptions, red tape, social barrier, okay, and lack of accountability, lack of transparency, all are being there. Corruptions is at all time high. Then small income, while you are having a job but actually you are not able to save your income properly, because worker are working poors are people are there, and their skills are very very less, so they are getting very less money, or they are getting daily wages, and they're not able to save the money properly, right? Education, if you go, so in the education, what we call it as, we do not talk only about a single gender, we talk about all the genders, like male and female are having still issue in attending the schools. Female are getting lesser periods in the school than male. Female are attending shorter period than males, correct? Then informalization of labor force, around 60 to 70% of our Indian labor force is working in informal sector, where there is no proper contact, there is no proper safeguards. Because of that, their life is always at the edge. They cannot access many resources. So there is very high informalization of labor force. Unequal woman participations is there, because we know that women play a very good role, but women are not being treated the way they have to be treated. They have to be treated like if they are working, they are treated that they are being part of certain type of work, and male can do certain type of work. No, if women play identical roles, it is said that if women play identical roles, then labor market, or we will be adding around 26% of more GDP in our GDP growth by 2025-26, like that. That means dollar 28 trillion or 26% of the GDP growth we will be having. And what are the other challenges? There is too much dependency on agriculture. Yes, is still 46%, 44.5%, just a figure I heard last day, is people are still dependent on agriculture, sorry, employment. 44.5 people of the labor force are working in agriculture sector, which is only producing 14 to 16% of GDP. That means half of the country's labor force is working in agriculture, and they are only producing 14 to 16% of GDP. These are all the challenges. These are all the challenges. Now, how we measure inclusive growth? There are a lot of ways in which we can measure inclusive growth. One is Inclusive Development Index, IDI index, compiled by World Economic Forum. And India's rank is 62nd out of 74th emerging economy. That means India is among the least inclusive country in G20 grouping. 62 out of 74. Such a high level of non-inclusivity. This shows. So increase in the ranking will increase the inclusivity index here. So whenever any question comes regarding inclusivity, you can also quote these data. You can tell as per inclusive development index, as per social progress index. Okay, this is how you write an answer, like everything you included. What is the problem, how we measure it, what exactly is the forecast, and everything. Then we have a social progress index, is the like how socially you are doing progressing, like social and environmental indicators are there, like what is your basic human need, foundation of well-being and opportunities. Then we have a GDP growth, but there are certain indicator. We measure GDP, but does GDP tell everything? No, GDP never tells you everything. It does not include activities as a whole term. It does not tell what is the health status, what is the education status. It only tells monetary value. Okay, today you have 3.5 trillion GDP, next year you have 4 trillion GDP, and next year you have 5 trillion GDP. But does it telling you about the whole picture? No. It excludes the factor like environment, inequality, and various etc. things. Then Gini coefficient. But Gini coefficient only talks about income inequality only. It doesn't talk about any other thing like like other inequality, like social inequality, environmental inequality, or any kind. So Gini coefficient is only talking about the income inequality. Then gross happiness index. Gross happiness index ignores gender neutrality and education. So there are certain limitation of all these indicators. So in order to make these indicator inclusive, we have to make him whole term. We have to make it whole term. Now, inclusive growth and human capital formation in our country. So this concept of human capital, what is the meaning of that? Human capital. It was introduced by Theodore Schultz, 1960s, right? So he tell about what is the role human plays in economic development. Human capital means human capital, how you can increase your human capital by providing proper healthcare facility, by providing them with proper education facility, by providing them with proper skill development facilities. By providing all these things, you are making a good human capital. This human capital helps you in increasing the productivity. This human capital helps in leading the higher employment rates and positive outlook to the society. This is the human capital. We do it. But what are the challenges now? Obviously, challenges are there. In education, we are not providing them with proper. There are a lot of gaps in our education system. Is there? A lot of educational gaps are there. That is why we are not able to generate proper human capital. We are, because since there is very less investment in the education field. The government is only looking for the primary field. The government is not looking for the secondary and tertiary educations also, right? Government need to incentivize education. Government need to provide direct benefit, direct cash transfers. Okay, government has to look for the demand side of this whole process. Government has to make rules, have to make certain provisions so that proper school attendance can happen, right? Then what about the healthcare? There are a lot of healthcare gaps are there between high income and low income households, right? So there is again inequality is there. Financial services, huge inequality between the financial services, where the ability of people to pay, the low income people don't know how to do it. Low income people don't able, not able to borrow the money from the places. All these things are there. Like there is a high income inequality is there. High income inequality. Income inequality is there, very high. There are large disparities. Large disparities are there. Rich are getting richer, poor are getting poorer. There's a lot of income gap. Then educational spending, very low educational spending. Since the population is rising, so per head availability of social and economic infrastructure is going down. That means if we have 1 lakh people and we are having 2 schools, so 50,000 people will go to one school and 50,000 people will go to the next school. But if we have 2 lakh population, and again we have only 2 schools. Then 1 lakh people are going to one school and 1 lakh. So that means rising population will reduce per head availability of the resources. And because of that, there is a high level of poverty and regional inequality will happen, and that is why they will not be able to get proper basic services. They will not be getting, right? Then huge gender gaps, increasing gender gaps is also reducing the opportunities for labor productivity. We are not still coming into the concept of gender parity. Still, there is a huge gender gap that is happening. And once those people who have got educated, those who are highly skilled, but they are not getting proper jobs opportunities in their country, so there is a brain drain. They are moving towards the other countries. Like most of the people are studying in America, Europe, Australia and other countries, and they are doing jobs over there. They have a lot of jobs over there, right? We all know that skill formation is a very long process. Skill formation is a very long process, hence it is slow. It has to go slowly, but at least we should have a proper infrastructure. We should have a proper infrastructure, has to be there. Then only we are able to provide that skills and on the job training to the people. These are all the challenges which need to be tackled. Now, what are the opportunities we are having? What are the opportunities we are having as a human capital? Like what we can do in order to get all the benefit of the human capital that we are having in our country. Now, what government has done to improve the human capital formation in our country, because this is a main important part of inclusive growth. You know, we have a demographic dividend. 65% of the population, like 65% of the population is below 35, and 25% are falling within the bracket of 15 to 64. The quarter of the population, one fourth of our population is working age, and that has been complemented by that we have a large English speaking population along with a robust IT infrastructure. You know, this is what is the main benefit and advantage of India. We are one fourth of the working force. Our whole population, one fourth is working force, and we are a lot of English speaking people, complemented with large English speaking people are there. We have created a Swayam portal where all the courses of science, engineering, and all these things are being uploaded. Okay, it is a world biggest e-learning program platform, like e-learning. So it is like a technological support that you are getting even if you are living in the remote areas. Even if you are living in remote areas, you can access with your internet. And now recently Uttar Pradesh government has even provided mobile phones to the people who has passed the 12th class or who has graduated. Those who have graduated, they have got the mobile phones. Okay, Niti Aayog has created a sustainable action for transforming human capital in education roadmap, Sathi roadmap for 2018 and 20. Main focus of this was to increase the learning outcomes, that whatever you are learning, whether you are able to achieve something out of it or not, whether you can retain that learning or not, that so that the Swayam portal, IT infrastructure, everything is there in order to reap the benefit, in order to reap the benefit of our demographic dividend. That is the main purpose we can utilize for inclusive growth. So sectoral step like what in education, what step we have taken? Pradhan Mantri new education policy we have created, which is focusing on more vocational training, on the job training, on the class examples. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana for skill development we are doing. Healthcare Ayushman Bharat rupees 5 lakh rupees per household insurance is being provided. Social security, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. Then Atal Pension Yojana, you are getting for unorganized worker. You can join from between 18 to 40 years of age, and from 1000 rupees to 5000 rupees pension you will be getting per month based on the type of subscription you have taken. Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Yojana, related to life insurance, 2 lakh rupees you will be getting. Mudra Yojana, under Mudra Yojana we have three type of loan up to rupees 10 lakh that government is providing to set up a small industries like under Taran Kishore and Shishu loans, right? So these all things are being run by the government in order to boost inclusivity, in order to boost inclusivity, right? Then financial inclusion, what government is doing, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, bank account, Jandhan, Aadhaar, mobile accounts are being opened. Employment generation program, Manrega, Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program, Rozgar Protsahan, Pandal Deen Dayal Gramin Kaushal Yojana, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Day NU, National Urban Livelihood Mission. All these are employment generation. So these rich people are not doing, na. These are all the poor people. These are pro poor scheme, so that they can join the mainstream of the society respectively. They should have a better income, they should have a better social life, they should have a better education, they should have a better healthcare facility, and they should have a better social security nets. These are the work that government is doing in order to boost that. Agriculture, government has said that we will be doubling the farmer income by 2022. So government is doing all the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Soil health cards are being released to find out the health of your soil. Pradhan Mantri Kisai Sinchai Yojana. All these yojanas, all these government schemes are running in order to boost the inclusivity. Infrastructure, BharatNet project in order to reach to connect whole India by broadband. To connect all India by broadband. Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana for street lighting and for providing the lightning connection to the people. Jal Jeevan Mission, Jal Jeevan Mission, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Swachh Bharat Mission. All these are being run in order to boost inclusivity. In order to boost inclusivity. Now, what are the steps and what are the strategies that you can do to achieve the inclusive growth? There are four important strategies that we can go forward: universal basic income, skill development, increasing the insurance coverages, and transforming of the aspirational district. So, like mean you for the universal basic income, what is the concept is that you can provide the periodic cash payments. Periodic cash payments can be provided to the people. Okay, you can provide it for universal to everybody or for certain category of the people. What exactly is the benefit that you are going to get is that it will your reduce administrative burden. It will reduce your administrative burden because we have around 800 to 900 government schemes are there, centrally sponsored, state government sponsored. That means 5% of the budget allocation especially is going under this. So universal basic income will be able to cater to all these problems. It is easy to implement because right now you have Jandhan, Aadhaar and mobile you have already created the basic infrastructure. Basic infrastructure has already been created for that. You can easily implement universal basic income. People will have their own liberty. People will be having income in their hand. They don't have to go and ask for the income from the other people. Nobody will be able to take undue advantage of these people. It will help in boosting the productivity. But there are some issues related to this universal basic income. It will lead to fiscal burden, obviously. Fiscal burden will be created, a lot of money will be required for that. Sometimes there will be a very bad spending from household. If everybody will be getting some universal basic income, we don't know in which things they are spending. They may be spending in some wasteful activities. Sometimes, like, you can have alcohol, whole tobacco. Okay, since they will be getting universal basic income, so they may spend their money in these uh, activities. And moral hazard, because of that universal basic income, people may not go for work. They said that, okay, we are getting the money, why we have to go for work? Okay, let's, government is paying the money, let's simply sit, right? So this is all the problem that is going to be created, and some of the issues that we have already. So now what about the skill development? What is the skill development? We know that periodic labor force survey happens. Okay, so based on that, they tell about like how many people are employed and how the people are not employed. Okay, what are the issue with the skill development? First of all, there is no proper accreditation process, ranking process. How we find out like this is good, that is bad, that type of skill is good, that type of bad. Okay, quality council of India has sometimes keep on compromising with the quality of accreditation. Okay, so regarding the vocational training also, proper standards are not being followed. There are a lot of norms are there are a lot of procedures are there are a lot of curriculums are there are a lot of certifications are there, but exactly which field require what kind of certification and how many certification and which is called as the best certification are is still very like the data is highly mixed. Then reluctance of the industry, because industry is also looking forward like what type of skills they need, and even the colleges and universities are also not teaching the skills which is needed for the industry. So there is a mismatch between the skills. Industry interface is not good. Industry interface is not good because there is no match or very little match between what you are getting taught and what you are required by the industry. So there is very poor industry interface, but government is running a lot of good programs under the skill development, like Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, then Pradhan Mantri National Apprenticeship Scheme. Okay, then we have Sankalp 2017, and then we have Strive 2017. These are all skill development program of India, right? Then comes the increasing of insurance cover. Insurance cover helps in building social security. Insurance cover helps in building the social security. So there is a lot of insurance penetration. Insurance penetration is less in our country. Insurance penetration is left in our country, and there is an insurance gap that is also present. We wanted every person should be insured of life, of medical, so that out of pocket expenditures are very less. Correct? So we need high penetration in this sector, and yes, government is focusing on this whole work with the help of their Jan Dhan Aadhar movement, right? So insurance paid like it provides social security nets. Correct? It also provides financial resources. It promotes economic growth, and it also promotes financial services to the remote areas. But there are some issues that are there. Issues are like less awareness, very less awareness, poor distribution of the product, poor distribution of insurance product, and sometimes only certain amount of products are there. There are no innovation product, no innovative product, only fixed products are there. Fixed product, like you can only take this type of insurance only, you cannot take that type of insurance only. So we need innovation as per the customer. We need innovation as per the customer, right? Pricing is also one of the issue, and sometimes get influenced by that. So government has done a lot of work in that. Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bijana, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana is there. National Healthcare Protection Scheme we are having. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana we are having, and various other, like in insurance we can call it as even we go for a crop insurance also, like Pradhan Mantri, we call it as Fasal Bima Yojana. All these things are there. So we can promote awareness in this field. We can provide them with multiple channels, and because since it is a very high huge market, and this is a very huge untapped market it is, okay, you can provide good amount of technology, easy product, easy to understandable product, and then you can get it. Then aspirational districts, it's a new thing. It's a very new thing. Government in has like selected around 115 very backward districts in our country in 28 states excluding Goa. Okay, so they are focusing here holistically. Holistically means all the schemes are being put under convergence, all schemes are being properly monitored, and competition is being done along with these aspirational districts. Competition is being done in these aspirational districts because we wanted to strengthen these aspirational districts. Okay, and we have set up some KPIs, key performance indicator, and this is being properly monitored using the dashboard along with it is having with the government of India. So these are all help in improving the inclusivity and inclusive growth we will be achieving under this category. Now some other areas to work, like hill area development programs are there. Okay, hill area development programs under which government is working in various areas, and in order to promote these hill areas as a tourist destination or some village destination and village, like people are doing night stay at the villages. All these type of tourism activities are being set up even in the northeast area, north area, southern areas. Then island development authorities, remote areas are being developed, right? So 10 islands are being there. There are a lot of islands like Lakshadweep, 5 islands of the Lakshadweep, and some island of the Andaman and Nicobar are there that has to be developed under this area, right? Then social stock exchange has been made. Social stock exchange is a places where companies who are telling that they are sustainable companies, those who are working in environmental, social, and governance field. Any company who quote that they are good working environmentally, or they are working for some social work, or they are doing proper amount of good governance, so they can have their stock listed in social stock exchange. Okay, it is a fundraising platform of government where you can buy the shares of the social companies, buy the shares of social enterprise, the way you do in BSc and NSC. Similarly you can do over here. Okay, so this idea came in 2019 and 20, 2019 and 20. And you will get, like, if this get properly implemented, then you will be getting a good amount of resources you can generate. That means people wanted to invest at a places which is working on an environmental area, which is working on a social area or governance area. So this is also one ways through which we can help in inclusive growth. Then corporate social responsibility is one more another thing which we can utilize the funds because corporate social responsibility, various foundation are making education, they are making schools, they are making universities, they are running schools in the villages areas, and they are running various type of other programmings. Then reforming Manrega is also very, very important for better implementation of various schemes. That means it is not like that you can do whatever you want. You have to create some asset which is durable. You can link the government scheme with Manrega. That means in any government scheme in which infrastructure has to be built, you link it with Manrega. Manrega worker will be building these infrastructure. Okay, you create a durable environment, durable assets, provide better wages, transparency in the wages, create assets and proper. This is how you can do. Durable assets are being one important things under this category. And creation of circular economy, that means in order to remove the wasteful consumption removal. Okay, circular economy, where production, consumption, and then again reusing, repairing, refurbishing, all these things, so that a same product can utilize multiple times and it reduce a very less amount of waste. And because of that, the earth will be able to process the other waste properly. And we have to make sure that we should provide proper laws to that. Proper important rules and guidelines has to be created especially for that. But why we need circular economy creation? Because there is huge increase in consumerism. People wanted to consume, I wanted to consume that, I want to consume that. Okay, but they are not understanding like whether they really need to consume that. High resource demand is happening. People wanted, okay, I want this resources, I want that resources, buy this. Okay, every time you go outside, you don't carry your water bottle. Every time you go, give 10 rupees and buy a water bottle. Okay, you have a choice that you can have got your water bottle from your home. But once you reach outside, you are buying, for giving 10 rupees is much more easier than carrying a bottle, right? Because of that, lot of import dependencies are there and waste creations are happening. Okay, so these are the things that we need to focus. But if we are able to properly work on it, we will be having less waste. We will be having less waste, very less negative externalities that will be happening. It will improve the efficiency of the economy. It will improve the efficiency of our economy to the large extent, and automatically this circular economy will be increasing the employment in our country, right? So this is how we have to work on now. Now towards inclusive growth. So these are the five places that we have to focus on. Service sector. 68% of our GDP is coming from service sector, and 30% of the employment it is generating. So we have to keep this growth continued. We have to keep this growth continued, and we have to increase the export of these services, right? Because we are still facing uncertainties in our manufacturing sector. So we have to keep this growth upward like this. Manufacturing sector is facing the automation crisis, and automation has already arrived, and we need to adapt that automation. And that is why we need to skilled, we need to provide a skill to our workers. So again, if they get skilled, they will get proper employment opportunities in that way. So we have to skill, unskill, reskill. So this we have to focus on. We have to learn, unlearn, and relearn like that. MSME, 60 to 70% of the employment is being provided. It has to move towards the digital way of working. It has to move towards the digital way of working. proper digital systems has to be created so that inclusive growth can happen. Digital economy, everybody has to look for new type of job, they have to look for new skill work, new skill development work, and then only they will be getting proper jobs, they will be only be absorbed in various other jobs, and at the last formalization of the labor force has to be done so that more and more people should work in the formal field than informal field. Okay, because this will provide you with social safety nets, social protection nets, labor forces connectivity will be properly provided over here. So multiple intervention is needed. Correct? Now, way towards inclusive growth. Non-farm job shifting has to be done. Shift to the formal sector. Export-oriented strategies has to be adopted. MSME sector has to be strengthened, including cottage industries. Need to have good amount of international agreements so that FDIs, FFIs, and various other companies can they open multinational companies and provide jobs to our country. Competitiveness, ease of doing business has to be improved properly. Public sector investment has to boost very rapidly. Then retraining, retraining, retrain, untrain, retrain. Startup. Startup culture has to be developed in all the fields wherever you are. And then stand up, like stand up campaign means you are taking people all together, all together people you are taking, right? So way towards this, government has to work with NGOs, government has to work with international groupings. There are a lot of projects that government is going. Niti Aayog has even selected at 75 following objective, like we will be achieving 9 to 10% growth, which we are still not achieving, and we have to keep our economy more inclusive, more clean, more sustained, and more formalized. So you see, Disha project has been implemented with a partnership of United Nations Development Program. How? Why? For what purpose? For employment creation and for entrepreneur generation, right? Then, so at the last, whenever we are ending any session, it has to be based on like what exactly we wanted to achieve. We have to continue focus on eradication poverty. Then only we can achieve inclusivity, because poverty is the eater of inclusivity. If people will remain poor, you cannot have an inclusive society. You have to collaborate with the people, you have to collaborate with the research institutes, you have to collaborate with everybody, civil society, private company, those who are working in all these fields. Okay, focus every time, focus on improving the life of vulnerable population, improve their livelihood, improve their skill, and then especially focus on the woman. So these are some of the ways through which you can improve the inclusivity. We have already done the issues, we have already done what we can achieve. And if you have any doubt, just let me know. I will be clearing all your doubts. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session. Bye bye.